Before you get started with ramps, you might want to find out what some of the parts of a ramp are. The face of the ramp, or the part you go up, is called the transition. I'm up on the deck of the ramp. Where the deck and the transition meet, it's called the coping or the lip.
What I'm going to do is the fly out. I'm going to push forward and look for the deck. And once I'm on top, I'm safe. Basically, when you're riding up the ramp, you want to get on top. So all you do is you're looking to put all your weight forward and push over the top of the ramp. With the foot plant dropping, basically all you're doing is you're looking down into the ramp and you're putting your bike inside the ramp with one foot left on the deck. You're pushing off with that foot. You're aiming to jump back on your pedal and catch the contour of the ramp so that you ride away and pump the next side. I'll probably land flat bottom and pop out and moan. Alright, so we're going to start off with the basic air. All I'm doing is I'm looking to ride up the transition. Just give it a little twist so that I'm coming in straight forward. Catching the transition on the way back in. Little twist, I'm in again. With the basic air, thing is you're going to be riding up the ramp and you know, that's the starting point to getting height on vert and learning a lot of tricks. So all you're doing is you're riding up and you're looking towards the top of the ramp, and once, you know, the speed you have takes you as far up as you can go, then you maneuver your body and twist around and keep on looking with your head to navigate where you're going to be positioning the bike, and then you just cruise back in.
We're starting off today with a peg stall. I think the easiest way to do this is kind of go a little bit slower than flying out of a ramp, and you just go up kind of medium speed. You hop up to the coping pretty much. You go like on a 90-degree angle. You almost hop up to the coping, you sort of kink your wrists a little bit, and you push your bike onto the platform side, and you kind of lean your body weight in to the ramp transition. And I think that's the easiest of the lip trick variations. You've got to trust your bike really, trust where your pegs are. I think that's the important thing. For a Smith stall, just go up the ramp almost like you're going to fly out, you know, just enough speed to get out of the ramp there, and you basically flick your back tyre out, not too much, but make sure it's away from the coping enough. Just get your wheel less than a foot away from the coping, and basically when you're dropping in from a Smith, you just turn your bars and your back tyre follows in. You can hop it in a little bit, but it's not really that necessary, I don't think. Your back tyre sort of leads in as you turn your bars, yeah. Just kind of lean your weight back into the transition. With a feeble stall, I've got to stop saying pretty much. You pretty much just try and get your front wheel as close to the coping or the grind as close as possible, I think. You obviously just got to go a little bit faster than a peg stall, and you just think about what you're doing. You got to hop your front wheel over the coping and get it nice and parallel with the ramp there. Just hop in, make sure you give it a nice little hop so your front wheel doesn't hit the coping and go over the bars. So just use a bit of body weight and you got it, yeah. For an ice pick, you go about the same speed as any other of the lip tricks. You just go up straight on at the ramp, turn your bike 90 degrees, so your back peg's stalling and you're kind of leaning your body weight back, and you use your upper body strength to hold the bike up, and you should be kinking your wrists a bit, because if you're on a mellow ramp your peg might not hook up, so you just got to kink your wrists so that you can control your bike a bit more. As you're dropping in, you just basically hop it in, like make sure your front wheel doesn't hook up, yeah. Just use a bit of strength, you got it. For a toothpick, find a line in the wood of the ramp or some kind of line, maybe even draw a line in the ramp, and you go up the ramp straight on and just like whip your bike right at 90 degrees, and you kind of just nosedive it as much as you can, and you got to trust your peg on that one as well. But like an ice pick, you're holding back on your bike, but on a toothpick you're pushing your arms forward to get the balance point. The secret there is like your peg is going to keep slipping. You just got to whip your bike as quick as you can to get in the balance point. Make sure you keep your back wheel more into the transition of the ramp and not over the platform. Like it's almost the opposite to a Smith stall, and you just lean your weight in back into the ramp and you're riding away strong.
Alright, we're going to be working on the tail tap. We're going to be working on the tail tap here. Approach the ramp at a good speed. Best is to have one finger on the lever, but I've seen people use two. When you're coming up, you want to fly out and do more of a 90, because Because if you rotate too far in like a 180, you're going to spin a little bit on the back tire, and you're going to drop in either straight, which is kind of rough, or you're going to be too far. And when you're coming up, when you're in the air, you don't want to force back down into the ramp. You kind of just want to let it hit. That way you don't jaw yourself out of position or balance. And when you do land, you want to kind of land with your arms a little bit bent and your knees a little bit bent, so you're not stiff-arming or stiff-legging it. That way you can kind of balance, and you can spring back into the ramp, leaning toward the ramp. And as you feel your front tire dropping in, just lift your back tire over the coping, and you'll come in smooth.
Okay, the nose pick. This is a nose pick using your front brake. Approach with moderate speed, just enough to get your front wheel over the coping and onto the deck. Put your weight over the front of the bike while hopping to the front wheel and grabbing your front brake. When your front wheel lands on the deck, take your time to gain a little balance, then push your weight forward and hop back into the transition and ride away with some style.
You might want to move on to the 540 tail tap. You want to approach the ramp just a little bit faster than a normal tail tap. And you want to keep going straight up the ramp as much as possible until the very end. Turn just a little bit to get your momentum started. And then remember, it's a tail tap first and then rotate. It's not rotate then tail tap. So as you come into the tail tap, you want to be rotating just a little bit, and then you want to make sure your head and your shoulders always keep them turning. Always keep them going where you want to go. Because if you stop your head or your shoulders, you're going to stop the rotation completely. So as you're coming around, you'll start to slow down. As soon as you see the coping coming and you feel your front tire going into the ramp, you lift your back end over the coping so you don't clip, and just ride away into the sunset. And go find a cowgirl. Yeah!
Once you get the nose picks down, you can try to learn tail-up nose picks, which is semi-advanced, and it's super fun to do. It adds a little spice to your riding. What you do is you stay in the nose pick. You're already on your front wheel, as close to the coping as you can be, and you want to kick with your inside foot while stepping over the top tube with this foot. So you want to step over and kick with the foot on the pedal, let it come around, and just jump back to the pedals and go in. Everything's the same as a nose pick except to tail whip the frame around. It's really straightforward, you know. Step over, tail whip, back, and you're out.
To do a double peg grind, if you look at the plies on a ramp, you want to start at one corner of the ply and carve, which means turn gently to the other corner at the top of the ramp. You want to carve into all your grinds on a ramp, because that's what gets your energy going sideways instead of up straight. Always keep the momentum going back into the transition. All you do is you carve it real nice turn up to the coping, and you just lay your pegs onto the coping. You don't have to hop onto it. You don't have to push down. All you do is you carve up to it, turn, and just lay your pegs over onto the coping nice and easy. Grind it as long as you want. Pull your bike back to you. Turn your wheel in and ride down. I like to pick a spot on the bottom of the ramp to aim for as you're riding in. That way you know you're going to end up back on the ramp. A Smith is pretty much almost like an air, a carved air. The key is to definitely hit your front peg no matter what you do. I want you to make sure you have front peg contact. You kind of do a kick out over the deck, like if you were to do a jump and kick out, you just kick it out, kick your back end out over the deck, catch eye contact with the coping where you're going to hit your front peg, put your front peg right on it. As you hit, you want to start getting over top of your bars and start leaning in the ramp. Look down into the transition and pick your spot, where you're going to roll into, and try and roll right over the top of that spot with your front wheel, and catch a good pump on your way in with your knees bent for the next side. Fuel grind, you want to carve into it gently. You want to have your front wheel come over the coping, just as I said with the double peg grind. As you lean it over, you want to have your front tire come up onto the deck as close as you can to the coping or the edge of the ramp. Grind it as far as you can using balance or steering the grind. As you're leaning back into the transition, you have to be sure to pick your front wheel up over the coping or the edge so you don't hang it up. Gently, hop, pull your front wheel up, turn into the ramp, and then turn your wheel straight with the grain of the ramp so you're going to have a nice pump going up to the other side.